let's get started. Ali, thank you so much for being a part of the of this show. I'm really happy to connect with another drummer and the first drummer in the series.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, I've been playing percussion almost 30 years. Yeah,
Oh wow. Mhm.
yeah, it's 30 years, 30 years, yeah. When I was a teenager, I started playing the tombak. I show you the
Yes.
tombak. And After that, I started learning other percussion, and I learned daff, and then udo drum, and other percussion instrument, mostly Persian percussion. But I can play, for example, cajon or bendir from Turkey, and other instrument from other boards. Actually, I'm learning,
Hmm.
not learning, because when I moved to Canada, I had this opportunity to meet some other musicians around the world, and it was very good because I had a good experience in my country. Actually, I had concerts with Tehran Symphony Orchestra and with uh, Iran National Orchestra, and also I played for radio and the TV of national Iranian national for 8 years. I had opportunity to have concerts around the world, such as Europe, actually China and Cuba, and yeah. And then when I came here, it was actually another thing about music, and then I could learn a lot, and I could meet a lot of musicians around the world, and then it was a good, actually, especially in Toronto. Then I tried with Paddy there. We tried to find another sources, and then we had a chance that we played with other musicians, for example, from other around the
Countries,
world.
yeah.
Then when you play with them, you can learn not only their music, actually their culture, and it's very good because it's actually something that we want to do in the world. Actually, we want to live together in a peace, and I think it was very good. And yeah,
Yeah, that's amazing. And because so that people know, you are a percussionist that you are originally from Tehran or
yeah,
somewhere else. Yeah, from Tehran. So
yeah,
the it's very interesting because like me living in Toronto, I was able to interact with a lot of Persian musicians, and there is this whole tradition of music with
yeah.
very specific instruments that have developed like differently in Asia Minor, but specifically in Iran. And it's such like an ancient and beautiful like musical tradition. And I was always like impressed to see. For example, we're going to talk about the tombak, but I learned the darbuka, which is the cousin from the Middle East. But when you
Yeah.
see the tombak, even though they will look similar, the sounds are very, very different, and the ways to play it are so different. And when I saw the tombak the first time, it was so interesting to see the technique being so impressive, like and so detailed, the kinds of sounds that you can get out of it, and that was like something I think we can show. And one of the things that I know, you came to Canada, what, like 2 3 years ago? When was it?
Almost 4 years.
Oh, 4 years already. Okay. Hmm.
Almost 4 years. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we should mention that Paddy there is your wife, and she's going to be in the show as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing like her perspective because she plays the tar, one of the instruments that is behind you.
Yeah.
So that will be very cool. So let's just mention like when you What you mentioned also the cajon, which is an instrument that I've seen in Persian music shows. A lot of people using the cajon these days, right? Which is this
Yeah,
Peruvian instrument that went to flamenco and then it went into Persian music, right? So that's very
exactly. Exactly. Yeah, the cajon now is very popular in Iran, and most percussionists that play tombak or daff, they try to learn this instrument, and now cajon is in traditional music of Iran, and you can play in traditional music. Actually, we use this instrument for some traditional music, and I think it works. Yeah, because it's now you can listen to the music, traditional music, but it's the actually in the other way. You know, it's new for when you listen some other percussion. Because in the past, actually, for example, 50 years ago, traditional music in Iran had only tombak for the percussion, only one tombak. And after, yeah, around 40 years ago, daff added, and around, I think, 30 years ago, it was a new style of music of Iran that actually, because of Pejman Haddadi is a percussionist of Iran. He's very famous, but he lived in Los Angeles in the US, and he had this experience that have now I am. And he tried to add some frame drums and also cajon and other percussion instruments in traditional music. Then when I saw his concert, and then, oh, it's very good because you can a lot of percussion in traditional music, and then I started to do this.
uh-huh, cool. And
Yeah.
when you learned percussion, did you learn by yourself, or was it like in school, or how was your trajectory for learning percussion? Did you
Sorry,
go? Oh,
was it stopped and I
oh, it stopped. Let me
your
see.
question. Can you repeat
Yes,
that?
of course. So when did you when you learned percussion? Did you learn on your own? Did you go to school for it? Did you have like a private tutor? Like how did you learn to play tombak? Can you hear me? I call you.
I'll
I can call.
now it's okay. Yeah,
No, it's okay. Okay,
yeah,
it's back. Okay, great. I just
yeah.
wanted to
You
know.
ask about
I asked, yes. So I wanted to know, like, did you learn a percussion, like tombak and the other instruments, like by yourself, or did you go to like a school to do this, or you had like a private tutor? Like, how did you learn it? Because I asked because the tombak is an instrument that I try to learn a few things on my own, and it's very difficult to play the proper sounds if you don't have the proper education. So I was just wondering, how was your process of learning the tombak?
yeah, you're right. Yeah, actually, I learned in person, private classes that day. That I went to my instructor's home and learned in person. And actually, I had four teachers for the tombak, and the process were almost 12 years. And I played a lot of books about the tombak, and also I have to mention that I've written 5 books about how to play percussion. Yeah, for the tombak, the daff, and the udu drum, I've written the books.
Oh, great.
And yeah, yeah, and actually it's a new style than for the students, and I try to simplify the learning this instrument. And now I'm trying to teach to other students from other worlds, and I think it's very good because nowadays a lot of percussionists want to learn tombak or daff.
Yeah, that's amazing. Huh? Like, so we'll have links later on. Like, we'll plug you like your books. Are they in Farsi or are they in English or
Yeah, actually, yeah, I'm so sorry. It's a Farsi. It's one of my goals that I
to translate?
could, yeah, to translate to English. Yeah, yeah, I need the time to do this process.
Yeah,
Yeah, and but I promise I do that.
no, it's cool. Like just we'll put links anyway because we have like an international audience hopefully for this, and that's one of those things that, especially for traditional instruments, sometimes it's very hard to find like proper like instruction on how to play it, especially if you want to go to like to learn like in English or like even in other languages. So it's cool that there is all this information that eventually will come out, and it's cool that it's becoming more um, popular. So I guess let's maybe we can show a little bit of the tombak so people can see what it sounds like and how it looks and everything.
Yeah, actually, the tombak is made of the wood, and almost it's made of walnut tree, the wood, and you can see it in the big hole is a skin that this skin is from camel,
Mm.
and yeah, and I have another tone like that. I can show you if you want.
Hmm.
It has a ladder here. You can tighten and loosen the skin.
Right.
Yeah, and the sound is changed. But yeah, this song is for it's good, but it's for my practicing. Yeah,
Hmm.
and
One
one thing
thing,
that I have to say is about.
I was just going to mention,
Oh,
can you put your camera a tiny bit down so you can show the instrument? Oh, that's great. That's great. Perfect. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it's
yeah,
and people should know that this is like one of these drums that you actually don't play. Like because I know that there will be people that have never seen it. We are used to seeing like drums playing like this, and this is like the darbuka that you play on your lap, and you have one hand on the top and one hand in the front, and then you play it, which makes it in your non-dominant hand, like if you're right-handed, your left hand will stay on top to do a lot of ornamentation too, right?
yeah, exactly. It's like a darbuka, but because I play darbuka too, it's a little different with darbuka because you play with 10 fingers, you know, and you can create a lot of techniques,
Yes.
and you can, yeah, and actually, funny thing that one time I wanted to write all of techniques, and I couldn't actually because it was more than 500 techniques, and then oh, okay, that's enough. Yeah, yeah, you can because you can create, and the sound is different, and you can. Now I can show you
Hmm.
some techniques. For example, this is tone, and you know this, and back, right with 5 fingers, left with 4 fingers, and then you can
Hmm.
left with 5 fingers, and you have the snaps, 4, and you can play with fingers,
With your knuckles, huh?
yeah, and you can play with thumb,
Yeah,
and
and
also you can play with nails.
mhm.
And another technique like brush in a drum, and also you have left thumb, and you can play it on the wood. And when you put your hands on the skin, the sound is changed. For example, and it's a lot of techniques. For example, with this
Uh-huh.
knuckle,
Knuckles.
or now I can show you some rhythm. you can create something that, for example, you play with a rhythm with right hand, and then at the same time you play another rhythm with left hands. For example, something like this.
That's amazing. That's cool. Yeah, I was gonna. That's great. Like that's already gives people like an idea that how. I always thought that when I remember the first time I saw the darbuka being played, I thought, oh, you can do all these different sounds, and then I started learning it, and then when I started seeing the tombak, I saw, oh, there's all these other things, and basically it has to be very precise. Like you make it look very simple, right? But it's very, very complicated to get exactly the sounds to be like that precise. And you have to have a lot of control in your wrist and on your fingers. So you really use your 10 fingers and all these variations. And one thing that I think it should be interesting for people to know that sometimes in percussion people play without knowing how to even read music. It's very common to, like in the Arabic world or even in Greece or some other places, the traditional people that play the traditional instruments, sometimes they don't read music. And what I notice with Persian percussionists is that I don't know, most of them, they know how to read music, and when they are learning, they already learn with the proper like notation, so you can even learn from books and know like exactly how to do, like you can even compose music specifically for drums, and you can learn. And that's a very cool advantage that I think people that are trained in Persian music have when they do percussion, because they can really think about the music. So is this like a standard thing, like that, like the way to write Persian music percussion? Is this a standard way, or each person will have a different way?
Actually, it's a standard way. Sometimes it's different, but most books are the same as the Western music. And now I can show you my book. Yeah, this is my book from the daff, and yeah,
Oh, amazing.
I can show you. Yeah, you know, it's one line, and then you can.
Right.
Yeah, and we have some symbols. Actually, I created these symbols for example, this symbol is for example, for chom. This symbol is for back, and then you can understand, and then you can play, because all of this is the same as the notation of Western music.
Oh, yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, and that really helps. They try to do this. I think there is an institute in Lebanon that they try to standardize. There's a very cool book about standardizing notation for the darbuka. But as far as I know, most drummers, unless they're classically trained, they will not have those notations like by heart. So that's one of the differences that I thought was very interesting. And as people like saw this, one of the interesting things about Persian music that I think we can talk a little bit about is the bass rhythm that people use. For example, in Western music, it's usually 2/4 or 4/4. And for people that don't know this, it's basically you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it goes on cycles, right? And if you have on Western music or in other places, you have like a 3/4, like a waltz, that would be a rhythm that people will know what it is. Tum ta ta, tum ta ta, tum. And in Persian music, there's a lot of 6/8s and 6/4s, right? So can you talk a little bit about how that about that time signature and the kinds of rhythms that you have in Persian music?
Yeah, actually, in traditional music in Iran, the rhythm based on the music that for melodic music. For example, we have we have radif, and we have some part of rhythm music such as char mezrab, pish daramad, reng, and tasni. And char mezrab also is 6/8 or 6/16. rank is 6/8, and we have zarbi. 2 zarbi is almost 2/4, and we have a tasnif is 6/8, but not 6/8 fast. 6/8 is a slow 6/8, and pitch daramad almost is 6/4 or 2/4 or 4/4, and then actually the most rhythm in traditional music was 6/8. That's I think a little weird for musician in here in the West. For example, we have a kind of 6/8. We played. This rhythm, ba 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 bi bam, ba 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 bi bam. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but one is 8 dotted note. One. Or we have for charm we have 6/8, 16, for example. Very fast, and it's based on melodic music. But I think we have a musician in Iran. His name is Hossein Alizadeh. Actually, is Padiz's instructor. He plays guitar. He tried to use another, actually other rhythm, 5/8 and 7/8. And after that, almost 5/8 and 7/8 added in our music. And nowadays we have a lot of rhythm. For example, like Balkan music.
Yes.
Actually,
they have sevens, they have nines, they have 11s.
And now we have all of rhythm.
Oh, that's amazing. So in a way, like whenever it's funny because whenever people think sometimes of like traditional music, they think it's something that is like set in the past or that is just a one way to do it, and then there's the right way to do it, quote unquote. And this is just one good example of how even on the most traditional music, people keep trying to innovate and invent other things and see what works and what doesn't work, right? It's one other thing that I think it's like a little bit different than like in Arabic or even Turkish music is that in Arabic and Turkish music they usually name the rhythms, right? So if you have like Saidi, Masmoudi, Samai, you have all these rhythms, and you tell the name, and then it tells you not only the time signature. I'm mentioning this for like the audience in general, but you have like, say for example, if you have a Samai rhythms that is like intense, then it will have accents on very specific notes, and then that sort of like dictates even how the melody is going to be created. In Persian music, there is no real names for the rhythms, right? Or is there?
There isn't any name like Arabic music. We have for the daff, actually in Kurdish part of Iran, we have some name for some rhythm of daff. For example, Hayyallah, Zikr Dubom, or Haddadi. I think maybe it's because of close to Arabic music. I don't know which. We have in Kurdish part of Iran the name, but in traditional, no, we don't have. Actually, I mentioned it's because of the melody for char, mezrab, and reng, and we don't have any name of this rhythm for the tombak.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so cool. And so I think one thing we can do, since we mentioned the daff a couple of times, maybe we can show the daff and show them how it looks.
Yeah, actually, this is daff.
We should show the chains, because that's a very interesting characteristic of the.
And actually, this is not a natural scheme. Before we used natural scheme, but it was very difficult for playing because it's changed about the weather. And now it's artificial, and also it's very. And the skin is made of a Remo brand, and in Iran they made it this, and actually it is tunable if you can use, but we can change the screen.
Oh,
Yeah,
I see. So it's like a changeable skin, and for people to know, like that, one of the things that happened, even like in with the darbukas too, that they used to be natural skin. There used to be like a fish skin that they used to use. But the problem is that if you go to one place or go to another, even in the same place as you're playing in the moisture of your hands, it changes the tuning, right? So then with artificial skin, you can keep the tuning for longer time.
exactly, exactly. And yeah, that's it. I can show some
Yes.
techniques.
Hmm.
We have tone, and also we have back and the left, or
Hmm.
and we have this chain. And
Yeah.
for example, I said Hayala. Hayala is a 4/4, something like this. It's the bass rhythm, but we can add some techniques on it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
something like
amazing. Yeah, thank
yeah.
you for showing that. It's interesting, like for people to see that the way to play is so very peculiar to the Duff because of the chains that it has. It has with this like up and down motion that it does. It does
Yeah,
this like almost like a snare. I don't know how to explain. But it's like such an interesting sound, and
yeah,
in a way, the way as people when they are going to see like you playing, they can see that you play around with the weight of the basically the center of gravity of the instrument as you put forward or
yeah,
backwards to get different kinds of sounds, and also
yeah,
to use your thumbs to hold the
yeah,
instrument and let the rest of your hands to be able to do a lot of like faster techniques and all
yeah.
that, which makes it sounds it go from quiet if you want to this very full sound that makes in the like in the song to make it like really come alive. So that's very very interesting.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Actually, this techniques of the daff is less than the tombak, but the sound is different.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's very actually you mentioned it's huge sound and very active. When you play, you want to dance or you want to
Yeah.
yeah jump or something like this because it's a huge sound. And also in Kurdish music, it uses for the Kurdish dances and yeah some
Hmm.
yeah this music.
Yeah, and I
Play.
think and I think on the DAF too, you can also play with it like as you have it right now, right? Like sitting on your lap and then play, or would you play that in other frame drums? Because I've seen some people using even like snaps and things.
Yeah, you can do this. Like a frame drum, you can use it if you want. Yeah, why not? Or some people put on the knees.
Between the legs,
I
uh-huh.
think the yeah knees something like this and play something like this. But mostly we put on
Hmm.
your hand. It's, and the difficulty is yeah you have to keep the instrument in the air and then you have to play. it's this is a little difficult. But you play the daff too.
Oh yeah, not like you. Yeah.
I think that you play.
Yeah, I play a little bit, but it's also one of those instruments that it's I just have to get someone to actually teach me proper technique. That's why I'm always reluctant to say that I play it, because like compared to the people that really play it, I'm like on the darbuka I'm okay. On other instruments I'm very hesitant. I pass. Like I put a little bit of sound, but it's especially the with the Kurdish rhythms and the Kurdish way of playing. It's a different different thing. And I guess one thing we can even mention that one of the setups that is so particular, I think, to like Iranian percussionists, and I think you play like this sometimes, that you have, and I'll probably put like a photograph or something somewhere so people can see, is that you have sometimes the tombak in front of you, and then you have one frame drum on like on what do you call it? On some sort of like surface, so that you like on a stand, so that you can go from one to the other very quickly, so you can choose and do all sorts of. It's almost sometimes it becomes almost on stage like a kit drum, right? Because you have all these different surfaces that you can do things, but it's mainly based on fingers, right? Very rarely you would like use a mallet or something like that, I assume.
Yeah, actually, it depends on the music. Actually, for example, last year in Tirgan Festival, I played. I had almost 9 or 10 instruments around myself. Yeah, I played cajon, tombak, and then darbuka and frame drums or chimes and other Western music. Actually, tambourine together, and I put it on the stand and like a or a drummer could use all of these sounds. If I want, it depends on the music. You need another sound, and I could use it.
Right.
And I think it's very beautiful for people to watch and see that you play a lot of things, a lot of sounds, and it's amazing for.
Yeah, and one of the things I think for tombak players is probably even easier than for darbuka players or kit drum players is that the skills are very transferable, right? So like you start learning the tombak, then you can learn the daff, and then you can learn to play like a bandir, or you can learn to play the darbuka. So the skills, I mean, of course the techniques are different, but you can adapt them to learn, which makes it a very useful instrument to learn, I think, because you can learn how to read music right away because it's all written down. You can learn all these interesting rhythms. You can learn how to have both very precise, precise strokes, and at the same time be more loose with your hands. So that's one of the big advantages, I think, of the tombak and the Persian percussion in general.
Because when you play the tombak, and actually because you uses a lot of you use a lot of fingers, 10 fingers, and then you can use other percussion instruments. Actually, I've learned other percussion on YouTube.
Right.
For example, darbuka, cajon, but it wasn't very difficult for me because I could read the notation, and it was simple for me. And I needed to practice. Yeah.
That's amazing. And I think I remember seeing I think it's on your wall. I don't know if it's like tuned or anything, but you had this instrument that was like it had like 6 sides or something like that. Do you mind showing it to us?
Sure. Yeah, actually, I bought this instrument from downtown. There is a store as it's African.
Yes,
drum,
I know. African beats, African drums.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. This is in downtown Toronto.
It's called Sama drum. Yeah, and.
Oh, I see. It has like I see.
Yeah, I liked the sound, and then I bought it, and I used in some Persian music, for example. And I added added some techniques of the tombak on it.
Oh, that's great. No,
Yeah.
that's amazing. That's cool. That's fun. Yeah. And this instrument, is it? Do you know where it's from? Because I've never seen anything on this size. Do you know where it's from?
Actually, he told me it's from North of Africa. I don't know which country. It's used in North of Africa.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
interesting how, especially in percussion, because I think it was invented in different places, like at the same time, and at the same time, like ideas like traveled and people started doing. But there is a certain kind of like design that
Yeah.
is sort of like somewhat standard for frame drums. I saw like the way it's tied up in the on the back. It looks a lot
Yeah.
like some drums from Poland and from Eastern Europe too. They have the same style, and it's sort of like that's how you would do a drum, right? Such a instrument that is like percussion. I think can get both the simplest forms of sound that is like keeping a beat, and at the same time the most, let's say, not necessarily complicated, but more sophisticated sounds, which is something that I think the tombak is one of the best examples, because you can get this very meditative and very like detailed and kind of music that you can. And also one of the interesting things about the tombak, I think, that unlike the darbuka or other percussion instruments, is that even though it has a big variation of sounds, they sort of stay on a certain range. So you can add all sorts of very intricate details on the music, and it doesn't take away from the melody or the rest. So you don't have to just keep like holding a beat. You can actually do a lot of ornamentation and do things to change the mood, which is quite amazing. Let's talk a little bit about your experience, like now in Canada, like before all this happened. But how did you find like the approach to music? I mean, whatever you feel comfortable talking about, like the approach to music in terms of like comparing to what happens in Iran, that I know has a lot of music going on, and then compared to Canada. Just your general thoughts, like no particular direction.
Yeah. Actually, when we came here, first we wanted to know about other musicians and find other musicians. And first, we have a group with Padide. It's called Nava Kimia. That is Nava Kimia, and Nava is my daughter's name, and we use this. Yeah, for our group, and it's a duet with, and then we can play in community of Iran or some festivals. And then we try to find some other musician and add to this group. For example, Paddy created a group that is called Parto, and Parto is Dimitri
Yes.
from Greece, and Matthias from Pro. Aline Morales from Brazil, and Selçuk Sona from Turkey, and Paddy and I. And then we recorded an album, and also we had some concerts in Toronto. And now we have this group, and another group that I created is called East Ensemble with Hadide, me, and Wendy Zhou from China, plays pipa. And also we played with a baglama player from Turkey, Ibrahim, with us, this band called Ruzgar. And we had concerts in Toronto. And another group that we created actually with Anbar Khorshid, he plays the sitar, and Tariq from and his wife Noor from Syria, and Morshed Khalid from Saudi Arabia. And it's called a massive ensemble, and we had some concerts, one concert in Toronto, and before we had a concert in the Tirgan Festival, and we recorded a video for them. Yeah, when you go and see other musicians, you want to play with them, and it's I think it's very good community in Toronto that you can find other musicians, and yeah, and we actually there's another trio with Iranian player, piano player that we had a concert with Padide, and he. His name is Mehdi Karbasi, and we actually this ensemble is West East meets West, and we played Western classical music and traditional music from Iran.
Oh,
Iran
that's great. Uh-huh.
Yeah, we mixed this music together. Yeah, and also we played with other musicians. For example, I played with Arabic Flamenco Arabia. Had a tour in Kingston, Ottawa, and Montreal, and Hadida plays with other musicians too.
She even played with my group before. It's great. Yeah. One thing that's maybe we can talk a little bit about this. Like, I'll probably get more into the melodic parts of Iranian music when I talk to Padide. But one thing that I'm always interested in is that I know, like, for example, we have like the Arabic scales, and then we have the makam, right, or the makamat, and then you have equivalent or like some of them in Turkish music, but I know that the scales for Persian music, they are actually different, right? The way that the scales go, they are like so can you talk a little bit about, like, so that people know, like, whenever they hear like the Persian music, it's not only the instruments that will be different than Arabic or Turkish, but the actual the actual scales used are actually different. But are they still considered to be like that's something I don't know? Are they still considered to be like a makamat system? Like they still like the scales are still like makams, or you guys use a different way of doing scales?
Actually, we have daska. Like maqam, we have 7 daska and 5 avaz. Actually, yeah, because traditional Iranian music has a quarter note.
Yes.
And the Western music does it have, and it's a problem that they can't play something the quarter note. But we have 2 daska, 1 daska and 1 avaz. It's called mahu. Mahu is like major.
I see.
And Isfahan is an awaz in Iran. It's like minor.
Oh, okay.
And we played. If you want to play with other musicians, we want to play traditional music, we'd rather to choose Mahur or Isfahan. I think it's good for Western music, for Western musicians, that they can understand.
Right.
But other than, for example, we have Segah, Chargah, Humayun. It's a little difficult for them because it has quarter notes.
Yeah, and the quarter notes will not be on the same place as the Arabic ones or even the Turkish ones. They will be they'll be displaced in a different place, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but in terms of structure, they will be like the music has, let's say you're doing like a melody, you have a main theme, and then you have instruments that are doing like variations on that melody, and then you have improvisation. I think that is something that is also present in Iranian music, right? The improvisation part.
Yeah, improvisation. Yeah, for example, for a percussionist, it's very easy. It's very easy for me when I want to play and improvise. It's very easy because we learn how to improvise, and it's part of our music, and also it's simple, easy for Paddy too. because it's a part of our music improvisation. And for example, when I had a concert two nights, I don't play the same thing. And yeah, I can change, and it depends on the audience. I get energy from them, and sometimes I play something new. Oh, and then I said, oh, it was very amazing how I can play something like this. It's because of improvisation. Yeah.
Yeah, and then in your experience, like in Toronto, are you like, did you open a school there? Are you teaching as well, or you have private students? How is that going on?
Yeah, yeah. I have private students too, and I teach in two actually Persian school, music school in Toronto. Yeah, but it's one of my goals. I hope I can teach in not only Persian school music, other schools, or for example, Royal Conservatory. I hope I can teach my instruments. I hope other people can actually know about our instrument, because it's very ancient. It has a culture, and it's very beautiful. When I play for them and I explain about the techniques, actually it's very amazing for them. And they but I don't know how can I can teach them. I can they interested in learning this music. I have now I have a student from India. He's a drummer, but yeah, he wanted to learn the tombak, and yeah, if I have, yeah, yeah.
In terms of in terms of percussion, like you mentioned India, I will have a couple of like tabla players like to talk. Like actually, I have an interview soon with a very cool tabla player, and one of the things that I notice is how the techniques are so different. But then, like a lot of people, like for example, in Turkey or in Arabic countries, sometimes they will go to get techniques that are originated in India, especially like split hands that you have in Turkish, like darbuka and stuff. So there's a lot of influence, especially on the more, let's say, advanced techniques that you have in Arabic music. You have some influence from India. And is that the same with Persia, or do you think are they like independent, or they're not like very similar?
Actually, I used to play tabla, but not only 6 months. When I was in Iran, I tried to learn about actually the rhythm. And yeah, it's a little different, but I can show you. For example, we use this technique. It's for the tabla or something like this. We can use the tombak. The technique is not difficult for a tombak player, but the rhythm is a little tricky.
The rhythm is it's a whole different, because I think they have long cycles and they have certain rules of changing over time that I think it's what makes it supposedly a very, I don't know much about it yet, but it's I'm exploring it. And you have like very complicated rhythms that are like put on top of each other. But I was just curious, like if there was like much influence, because the way that tombak is played is so different than most other percussion instruments that we see, and it's so like sophisticated that it's interesting to see. And speaking about being like an ancient instrument, do you know like if this particular format of the tombak is something that has been used for a long time? Because like Persian culture was basically from the beginning with Babylonia and everything. They were like, the Persian Empire is like part of this huge beginnings of civilization. So a lot of you can even see reliefs and statues and things that have people with frame drums, sometimes even those square frame drums or those rounded frame drums. How old do you think this kind of instrument is, like tombak?
Nobody is sure about this, but I read a book about the tombak that it says in 500 years ago in Iran, before before the I think it's a long time ago. Yeah, there was an instrument. It's called tombak.
Mm.
And it's something. Maybe the tombak is come from them. There we don't
We
have
don't
any
know.
pictures. There was a name tombak that it was an instrument. But actually, some poets have mentioned the tombak. For example, I'm sure that we have tombak this name in 1,000 years ago
Oh,
for their
wow.
poet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
interesting. And probably there are not many instruments left because it's made of wood, so it would basically like get destroyed over time, right? And you mentioned like just a couple more things. Like you mentioned that there is like let's say in Iran you have like a part that is like with a Kurdish influence, and there is one this part that is with Turkish influence, and
yeah,
so even when you think of Iranian music, there is a whole like depending on which region from Iran you'll
yeah.
have completely different styles of music. Sometimes even different languages being spoken, right? So can you talk a little bit about like just a general overview? So if people want to go check out some of music from Iran, like what would be like a good way to navigate it?
Yeah, actually, the Tehran is the middle, north and
Hmm.
middle of Iran, but in the actually the north of Iran we have some kind of music is from Gilan and Mazandaran. That actually the music is different. In south of Iran we have actually it's close to Arabic music, and
Hmm.
you can, for example, find some, for example, an instrument is called dammam.
Hmm.
It's from the south, and in the west you can use some, for example, close to Afghanistan and Pakistan. You can find their language and their music too. And in the west of Iran, you can Kurdish music is part of Iran, and the language is totally different,
Hmm.
and the music is different too. And north west is Azerbaijan,
Hmm.
and yeah, it's very rich in music also. And north east is Khorasan, and music is different. Yeah, and yeah, it's very
Yeah,
various
it's
music. You can play with them, and each area has their own music. We call folk music,
hmm.
and we can use because it has a rich music, and we can use it in traditional in our nowadays music. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, that's
And,
amazing.
yeah, in Tehran we have traditional music. It's traditional music is totally different about Daska and yeah,
Yeah.
Avaz. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. And one last thing, sometimes I'm starting these conversations with this question, but in this case, we were talking about like your experience and everything, but like considering that we are at home and that there is this like pandemic going on, like how is your day-to-day life these days? Are you teaching online? Are you practicing at home? Even when I was talking to Demetrius that you mentioned, he said like, oh, I think there will be a lot of good music coming up in the summer because a lot of musicians are practicing at home, but there is a lot of like shows they're canceled and all those things. So how are you like dealing with the pandemic right now? And I should mention that we are recording this on April 4th, right? So it's still a new like this will come out in a couple of days, but so this stories are changing so fast, right? What's going on? So how is it going there for you?
Actually, it's difficult. Not for me, for everyone. It's very difficult, especially for kids. For the kids, it's very difficult because they go to school, and they have friends, and actually for us it's difficult not only for practicing. Oh, actually, I practice every day. I have my own time, 1 hour or 2 hours. I practice myself, and but for example, if I want to compose a song, if I want to do something, when I go out, I watch people and I get energy from them, and
Yep.
then I can create. It's closed. This communication is closed, and it's only you and your family. And it's a little create something. It's a little difficult, but we want to spend time with our kids and play with them. And we play music with Paddy there sometimes. Yeah, and but I hope it's finish this situation. It's very difficult.
Yeah, I imagine. And you mentioned you have two kids.
Yeah. I have two daughters.
Wow.
The older one is 15. The younger one is 6.
Oh wow. Okay, so they can't even really keep each other company because they have different interests, right? So yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Are they studying
Exactly.
music too or no?
My older daughter, she played the piano.
Hmm.
Yeah. But the younger one, not yet.
Not yet, yeah. Yeah, actually, one thing about the piano that I was thinking, piano is such a, although you have like the santur, that is a very beautiful like instrument in Persian music, that it has like it's a string instrument that you use. I'll have someone to demonstrate it later, but it has a little bit of a piano sound because of the way that it's like this percussion like little hammer that you use to do so. You do individually. Whereas in piano, it's like a whole set of keys and all. But it's been used a lot in Persian music, right? The piano specifically, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
is this like a new thing, or is it has been since the beginning, or?
No, it's not new. A lot of Iranian people likes the piano, also the guitar, and it's a long time ago when the piano and the guitar came to Iran. They wanted to learn because we have a kind of music. It's called pop music,
Hmm.
and also we have classical music, Western classical, and a lot of people play the piano and some the piano and the guitar. Some Iranian actually change the tune of the piano. Then they
Oh,
can, they can play the traditional quarter note too.
oh, interesting. Uh huh.
Yeah,
All right, so they would change like the like E to be an E half flat on the frequency that you use, and that's why the piano can. That's why you can play all the music. Oh, that's interesting. That's great.
yeah.
Cool. So, Ali, thank you so much for like being a part of the show. It was really cool to hang out with you. And if people
Thank
want
you.
to know more about you and your projects and your music, where should they go to check it out online and
Uh,
stuff?
I have a page on Facebook, Ali Massoudi, Massoudi, and also I have a page on Instagram, Ali.Massoudi52. They can follow me if they want, and they can understand about my project. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Cool. We'll put this on links somewhere down here so that people can see. And again, thank you so much for being a part of the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank
It's the
you.
tombak is one of my favorite instruments, and you were one of those people that's still trying to get to play together. But hopefully, when I come back to Toronto, I'll get to jam and play a little bit
Sure.
together.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Pedro, for your time. For this
Yeah.
interview. It was
Yeah,
funny.
it's such a beautiful instrument. I think people like they will look and they will be hooked because it's such a beautiful such a beautiful tradition. I hope they check it out. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you too. Thank you too. Take care. See you
Awesome.
soon.